Welcome, everybody. My name is Stephen, and this is the Genesis Mindset. So, it's been a hectic week in cryptocurrency. There has been a lot of FUD. You have the SEC FUD, they're suing many of the top 10 coins, and it's really spread a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt throughout the whole market. And in the Pulsechain and HEX ecosystem, all that hex price just keeps dumping. You've got the believers who keep buying at 1 cent and are saying this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Then you've got the people who are just losing their minds, what people call the weak hands. And then there's a pulse chain price, which is not performing how some people were anticipating or had been led to believe that it would. But from where I sit, this is actually really quite normal. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And like I said, this is the Genesis mindset. So this is all about mindset for investing, trading, and life. So obviously, I'm all about mindset. And mindset in my life has really helped me with my mindset in everything. And now it applies to how I invest and trade. But you must know that this is my personal opinion only. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. So don't do anything or act on anything based on what I tell you. You're doing it for yourself. And this is only just my personal opinion. So this is episode 3, turning $1,000 into a million. And this is all about mastering the psychology of FUD. So I thought this was a very um, topical episode right now. So it's all about conquering that FUD. And there's 3 keys to conquering that FUD. It's knowing, recognizing, and acting. So first we need to understand and know what FUD is. Then we are able to recognize it and then act on it. So first I'll just zip through this, knowing FUD. So FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so fear is a fight or flight response. And so there's a danger or a threat. Cortisol is released in the body. The adrenaline kicks in. There's a tiger that's coming for me. I run or I fight. That's what fear is. However, with humans, money is so tied to survival. In the markets, it's all about, I'm going to lose my money. And so in order to hack this fear, I'm going to give a tip for all 3 of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And for fear, it is know your risk tolerance. So if you understand what your tolerance for risk is, then it can help you overcome the fear. So for me, I'm all or nothing. I'm either writing this down to 0 or all the way to the moon. It's one or the other. There is no in between. So I know my risk tolerance. It's very, very heavy. I don't mind. If I lose it all, then I have no problem. I'm perfectly fine. I have no intentions of getting a house or a car. My life is sorted out. I'm taken good care of. I'm a full-time volunteer. I have somewhere to live. I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. My life is sorted. This for me is just extra to basically put into the world. That's all I'm doing. I'm making this money so I can put it into the world. And if the world rewards me with that money, then I can put it back into the world. It's really as simple as that. So that's my risk tolerance. You need to know what yours is. Uncertainty. So this is news articles spreading things about uncertainty. You're getting the global sentiment all over Twitter. So the uncertainty is being triggered in your mind. Is the cryptocurrency market going to survive? Is the stock market going to crash? All of these things happens in all forms of investing. And obviously I'm more in tune with cryptocurrency. So I'm always using cryptocurrency as an example. But the reason why I'm okay with the uncertainty is because I understand it. So you actually need to understand what you're in. So I understand what the cryptocurrency market is. I understand what it stands for and where it's going. And so it's okay. I don't let the uncertainty get to me. Then there's doubt. And this is an internal thing. Is this the right decision? Am I good enough? Did I do the right thing? Have I put too much in? All these doubts that are coming up in your mind. And the way to overcome these doubts is to develop conviction. And conviction comes from understanding what you're in. When you understand what you're in and you can understand where it's heading, or you can make predictions about where it's heading, you can have conviction in yourself to actually stay in it. Having said that, these 3 things, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it all depends on the life that you've lived, the habits that you have from your parents and your ancestors. So if you have lots of habits of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in you, then that's really going to be compounded. Also, if you have a life of continuous failure, it's going to be really strong in your mind. And this is where I'm going to provide another solution later down. And my solution is meditation. I will explain that later in the episode. So now that you know what FUD is, how can you actually recognize it? So there's 3 places that you recognize it. You recognize it on an individual level, on a group level, and on a global orchestrated level. So you have the individual FUD. This is a scam. I'm not made for this. I can't take this anymore. This is what I was just talking about. So the human mind is like a program. It's like a robotic program. Whatever you put into there is what's outputted. So if you have a life of failure, a life of not doing well, a life of giving up, those are the thoughts that are going to come out when these things start to happen in the market. You're going to start to doubt yourself, thinking, oh, am I good enough for this? This is a scam. I lost all this money before. It's happening all over again. You really need to know yourself here. So this is the individual FUD. Then you've got the group FUD. So this generally comes from people who don't understand. Again, the human mind is just a complicated program. So whatever you've programmed into your mind is what's putting out into the world. So for example, real estate, real estate, real estate. I consume and read real estate. Real estate is the best investment. Stocks, stocks, stocks. Stocks is the best investment. Cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency is the best investment. Whatever you're putting into your mind is what you're going to be talking about. And so it's usually from people who don't understand cryptocurrency that are generating that FUD as well. And this happens in the workplace, in your family, with your friends. You try and tell them, hey, cryptocurrency, and they're like, oh, it's a scam. Maybe you should get into silver or gold, or you should get into stocks, or you should get into real estate. It's whatever they understand, they think it's right, because this is how the human mind is. The human mind only knows what it's got in its own little mind world, and then it talks about that thinking that it's right. This is how the human mind works. And then it also comes through social media. Then you'll see it also recognize it in orchestrated FUD. This one is a little bit more tricky to identify, but this is on a global scale. We start to see things like influencers on YouTube really starting to spread fear to push prices down so they can get in at lower prices. Then you have what people refer to as the Illuminati, 1%, aliens, lizard people, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's just every human is just based on their conditions. So whatever you have in your mind is based on what you've put in there. So it's the same thing. So these people who we refer to as the Illuminati, I don't know if there's a circle of people that are getting together saying, oh, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take all their money. I don't know if this is all orchestrated on that level, or if it's just a byproduct of the degree to which they're greedy, the degree to which they want more. And collectively, it equals what we refer to as the Illuminati. They also orchestrate the FUD. And then you've got the government actions, so things like the SEC, which right now are orchestrating the FUD. And if you're listening to the right kinds of people, like your friend Somi, he made a fantastic tweet the other day on Twitter, highlighting the fact that the SEC is suing all of these cryptocurrencies on the one hand, but then in Hong Kong, they're actually just legalizing them. So whether this is like a dump and a pump, or something along these lines to lower prices, who knows? Who knows what it could be? But there's so many things where you start to see these patterns, and it doesn't stack up. Okay, so there's knowing it, recognizing it, and now how can we actually act on it? This is the most important part. How are we actually going to act on this FUD? How am I actually going to take control of myself so that I can act on this FUD? So there's 3 cycles to the action on FUD. So there's the pre-FUD, so you want to develop your skills. And this is all about time. So for me, this is my 3rd bull market cycle. And I have to tell you, it's been remarkable to see the FUD. I'm really outside of that FUD. I'm a day 1 Hexagon, so I lived through a lot of FUD, but I used to get really caught in that FUD. My mind was much more unstable. I wasn't as in tune with myself. I had a lot more negativity in my mind, so I'd really get absorbed in the negativity of the FUD. So that FUD comes to me, it responds to the negativity in my mind, and I get sucked into it. But you might not. You basically want to be able to leverage people like myself's time, and as many people as you can. I just mentioned your friend Somi. You've got Lit, My Life is Awesome. You've got Crypto Coffee. You've got, oh my goodness, I've got a mental blank, but there's so many out there. Crypto Heartbeat, Rags to Riches, Crypto 7, Tangent, Discourse Syndicate. Like, this is within the HEX Pulsechain ecosystem, but then outside of that as well, there's good quality influencers out there. Ivan on Tech is an exceptional influencer. So you want to follow the right kinds of people and leverage their time to help you learn. And the thing is, you might listen to this in the space of 15 minutes. You're not going to overcome FUD in these 15 minutes. But the more that you listen to these things from different sources, the same message going into your mind, it's going to start to change your mind over time, and also clearing your mind. That is really the shortcut. That's the hack to clear your mind. I'll get into that in just a moment. And then there's the emotions. So developing your emotional skills. So understanding how your emotions are the market's emotions. Humans, we're all just Everything is just in the universe. We're all living in our own little bubbles, but inside of our own little bubbles, the programs are all, they're all based on what we've put in there, but the way the programs operate are all exactly the same. When you have fear, everybody else on the planet is also having the fear on the same time. When you have greed, everybody else is also having that greed on the same time. That's why you have a market psychology. That's why you've seen those charts where it shows the market psychology. It's all the same. So when you can have that emotional intelligence and develop that emotional intelligence to understand your emotions, you can also understand the market's emotions. And this is all about learning and growing. So that's what the understanding comes into it. So understanding what you're in. If you don't know what you're in, you're just throwing money into all these different kinds of cryptocurrencies or stocks or whatever it is that you're putting money into, but you don't really understand it, you're going to fall into that FUD. It's going to trigger the uncertainty because you don't understand what you're in. It's going to trigger the doubt because you're not going to have the conviction. And it's going to trigger the fear if you've gone in irrationally. So, really learning and understanding what you're in and growing your consciousness to actually be able to adapt to the FUD. Now, this is the pre-FUD. This is like the muscles, the warm up, getting ready for the action. Now we've got the mid FUD. This is like right now. The FUD is happening right now. So these are the actions you can take. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. These are just the options. There's really essentially three options. One is sell, end the pain. I've done this. I've been through that road, and it sucks. It completely sucks when you sell, and then it just springboards all the way up. And it happens so often. You start to realize this point of pain where I feel like I can't take it anymore. I'm out. That's the point where the buyers start to come in. That is really the point. That's the point that the market wants you to get to so it can spring off that energy. That's how it works. So don't be that. Don't be that part of the global consciousness. Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Your circumstances might be different, but for me, I'm telling myself, don't do that. That's not what I want to do anymore. Then you can walk away and avoid the FUD. So really stay the hell away from Twitter. Do not go on Twitter. Stay away from the FUD. Really just, if you're putting money into it, you have conviction and you believe in the cycles of cryptocurrency, for example, and you know that the cycle tops are probably going to be in 1 to 2 years' time, then just walk away. Put your money in and walk away, or dollar cost average in and walk away. And of course, that leads to the next one. The best, my personal preference is buy the FUD. This is what all the smart investors are doing. These are the ones who are getting those bottoms because they understand the psychology of the market. They understand, they can see on Twitter the sentiment on, for me, I can see on Twitter the sentiment, wow, this is like peak fear. This is really a great time to buy because these prices are really low. Caught myself some amazing dips on Pulsechain, for example. I've been dollar cost averaging in on that to equal out my position to Pulsechain. And then this leads into the after, the post FUD, the reflection. And so this is where I like to have discussions with friends. Okay, rationalize this fear, this uncertainty, this doubt. What was it? Try to understand it. Really have those discussions in your groups, see what other people's opinions are, and really start to objectify those emotions you have. And this then aligns with your self-awareness and your emotional intelligence. Once you start to develop that emotional intelligence, you can really detach from that fear. You can detach from those feelings in you and go, I just know that this fear now is for what everybody else is feeling. And that's what emotional intelligence is, not getting sucked into it, just recognizing that there's a cause and an effect. The cause is the market, the effect is the fear. And the best is meditation, clearing your mind. Now, I had so much negativity in my mind, so much. I was a type of person where if I wasn't meditating, I would have given up on this game a long time ago because my mind was not made for it. Quitter, negative, full of self-doubt, self-loathing. I'm useless, I'm crap, I'm no good, all of these things. Basically, the perfect ingredients for someone who should not be in the market. But by actually meditating and clearing my mind, I've been able to step outside of that FUD, just gradually keep discarding those things from my mind. So it's not about just ignoring the thoughts or trying to breathe. It's about allowing those thoughts and discarding those thoughts and just continuously reflecting on all those times in my life where that fear, that uncertainty, that doubt came in, and then just discarding it continuously, continuously, continuously. So then when the condition comes, there's nothing for it in my being to bounce off. I'm free from it. And that's been the biggest hack. And yes, this is my third cycle, but there's people that I'm looking around on Twitter. This is their third cycle. There was a big blow up on Twitter. Your friend saw me again. Oh, I love the dude. He's made a fantastic, and I feel terrible saying this, but there's a guy, Silvertooth, on Twitter. I even tweeted out to him. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. This is his third cycle. He's put everything on the line and he's just in complete meltdown. The reason why is because we're all living inside of our mind. And so he's stuck in there. So there's some people who have lives of success, life of being able to just make it and gain and grind and build businesses. They're gradually over time developing a way out of that FUD. But then there's people who've lived with that FUD their whole life. They've never had any way out of it. And the time alone is not enough. I was one of those people. I lived a useless life. Even though I've got an architecture degree, I had my own business. I really only started my own business once I started meditating because I was like, well, I can actually do anything. It's just all in the mind. So that was one of the reasons why I started a business. And over the years, it grew. But that's beside the point. The meditation of clearing your mind is, for me, the best thing that you can do to actually overcome the FUD. And this is a continuous loop, an action loop. So understand what the FUD is, then be able to recognize it, see those patterns. Oh, this is FUD. This is just like, it feels so orchestrated when you start to recognize it. So that's all about developing those skills. And then in the FUD, what are you going to do? For me, I now like to start buying. That's my thing. Just to be outside of that FUD is phenomenal. Is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's like I've broken the illusion. I'm outside of that FUD. It's really phenomenal. And then reflect, continuously reflect, and just continuously move through this. And that should hopefully get you through the FUD quicker than later. So thank you very much, everybody. Please like, subscribe. If you have any questions, anything like that, please ask. I've got a website with blog where I talk about mindset, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence. I've got my Instagram, my YouTube. Now I'm on Twitter. And with that, I would like to just say thank you very much for staying here. So I also want to say I've got now 2 playlists. So I've got these longer form playlists where it's more nuanced. I go in a little bit more depth, 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm doing YouTube shorts of every single one of those 3 slides, the 3 points. There's always going to be 3 points to every single episode. And there's going to be a 1-minute video for every single one of those slides. So if you prefer the short form content, then please, subscribe and just stick to the short form content. If you like the longer stuff, even better. And better yet, listen to them both. Because what I say quickly and what I say in longer form is going to help sync the message into your mind more. And then, like I said, start listening to all those other people that are been in the game and they don't get sucked into that FUD. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope to see you all next week. Bye-bye.